released on the timeline of the response to the oil spill off the coast of Orange County. OC Sheriff spokeswoman Carrie Braun said the harbor patrol boat checked out reports of a fuel spill at 5:30 p.m. the day before the oil spill was discovered.
And then at about 8 p.m., the Coast Guard contacted the Sheriff's Department Harbor Patrol office in Newport to request our assistance.
Braun says by then it was too dark to find oil in the water. She says the agencies all agreed to investigate starting at 7:45 the next morning, and the oil spill wasn't located until 9 a.m. The CDC says the approval of COVID-19 vaccine booster shots hasn't changed what it means to be fully vaccinated.
Right now, we don't have booster eligibility for all people currently, so we are going to, we have not yet changed the definition of fully vaccinated.
But CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky says the definition could be updated in the future. Moderna and Johnson & Johnson joined Pfizer on the list of federally approved COVID-19 vaccine booster shots this week. We're looking at that closure on the 101.
It's downtown LA, the weekend-long closure on both sides of the 101 route between the 5 and the 10 until around 6 o'clock Monday morning. Take the 5 or the 110 instead. As part of this project, the 60 West section from 211 North also closed, and that sets you back up on the left-hand side of the 60 starting around Indiana Street. Then it's a long pass on the southbound side of the 15 before the 138. We've got a couple of crashes there, been in the left lane, some foggy conditions contributing to that problem. CAC in the process of trying to clear it out of the way. We'll watch for delays from Oak Hill Road. And Redlands on the 210 west down between the 10 and 5th Street. All lanes there shut down until around 8 o'clock this morning as well. KFI in the sky helps us there faster. Lucky.
You might not think about your water heater very often. I certainly don't. But you will if it's not working, because there's nothing worse than getting ready to relax in a hot shower and then slipping into an ice cold one. So if that's you, then you need to call Water Heaters Only. Water Heaters Only has been replacing water heaters and getting the job done right since, well, around about 1968. And when you need a new water heater, they're the only ones you need to call, because they're honest and they're reliable and they know everything there is to know about water heaters. Water Heaters Only also offers same-day service, quality products, and the lowest prices around. And for a limited time, you get 0% deferred interest financing. So call the company that does water heaters only. Visit waterheatersonly.com. Get a new water heater with 0 interest. Terms and conditions apply. Waterheatersonly.com. Southland weather from KFI. Partly cloudy by this afternoon. Mid-70s to low 70s, mid-60s to low 70s at the beaches. Mid-60s to low 70s in Metro LA and OC. Actually, mid-60s, low 70s basically everywhere across SoCal today. We lead local, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Brian Bruman.
When it comes to your identity and keeping it safe, the folks at LifeLock want to make sure that your information stays secure. So let's say during the pandemic, or even now, you're working overtime, you're saving your money, you're paying off your debt, and now some identity thief wants to steal your information. This is why LifeLock by Norton helps monitor your information and alerts you to potential identity threats. And if you do become a victim, a dedicated U.S.-based specialist will be there to help fix it. Now, no one can prevent all identity theft to monitor every transaction, every business. But when identity thieves try to take what's yours, you don't have to take it lying down, because there's LifeLock. Save up to 25% off your first year. Call 800-LifeLock or go to lifelock.com, promo code HANDLE. That's lifelock.com, promo code HANDLE, or call 800-LifeLock, promo code HANDLE. Once again, that's promo code HANDLE for 25% off at lifelock.com.
Do you want out of your house for whatever reason? Maybe you're moving or downsizing, there are financial issues, maybe you inherited it.
Selling a home usually means hours of painting and cleaning and staging. But what if you could sell your home for a fair price without any of that hassle? The buyer never had to walk through your home. You could sell it without an appraisal, no commissions, no fees.
What if you could get paid in cash and get it done fast, like in 10 days or less? This is exactly what DirectBuyers.com will do.
DirectBuyers.com is a local family-owned business. They've been around since the mid-'80s. We talked with the owners, Janet and Matt. Wonderful people. They care about their clients.
You don't want to go to a national call center. These are the people we trust. Do not sell your home until you talk to DirectBuyers.com. See what they can offer you. They will give you an honest, no-obligation offer. They can even get you $15,000 cash advance before closing to help with your move.
They're not going to lowball you. Go to DirectBuyers.com. DirectBuyers.com. 844-242-SELL. That's 844-242-SELL, directbuyers.com. There's red, blue, and then there's you. You're a free thinker and believe the best idea should win, no matter whose idea it is. KFI AM 640, we give you all the news you need in a variety of opinions. You make up your own mind. Beholden to no one. Live, local, and independent. KFI AM 640 is made for independent thinkers like you. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. You are home with Dean Sharp, the House Whisperer. Good Saturday morning to you. Still very dark outside, but it's light in our hearts, is it not? I don't even know what that means. It's just a misty, lovely, beautiful Saturday morning here in October in Southern California. Thank God for the moisture, for the wetness on the ground. All right. We're talking about the decoding of the ever-mysterious contemporary home. You would think it would be the easiest thing in the world to understand because it's, it's here, it's now, it's what we're doing right now. And yes, we really cling to the past and to traditional architecture. And as a result, the brand new, the cutting edge, sometimes can be a bit strange to us. We're going to get back to that conversation in just a bit, but as promised and as is our tradition, now it is time to talk about your home by going to the phone. Carol, welcome home, my dear.
Hi, good morning. I have an old house, well, built in the 50s, and the faucet in the bathroom has been on there for I don't know how long, and I want to change it. How do I do that?
How do you do it?
Myself.
Well, yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the trick is this. In theory, Carol, in theory, changing out a faucet is conceptually a fairly easy thing. The faucet is bolted with some nuts to the bottom side. Those nuts are on the bottom side of the countertop, up underneath, okay? Once those nuts are removed, the faucet will be loose and able to break free and be removed. The faucet is also connected to the plumbing system with just two hoses. One is a hot water supply hose, the other a cold water supply hose. Those hoses may be actual vinyl nylon hoses. They may be like silverish looking or copper metal lines with little compression nuts on them, but either way. So step one, very simply, you turn off the angle stops. Those are the valves underneath the sink that are leading directly to the faucet. You turn off the hot and the cold, boom, that's done. Also, the next step then would be to open the faucet to relieve the pressure, the water pressure that's still trapped in those lines so that it's not going to get too drippy. It will be a little drippy. Okay, so in theory, then you reach up from behind and you undo the nuts and take off the faucet. But here is the trick. There's this thing in the way of getting to your faucet nuts really easily, and that is the sink. Sinks are deep and they're right in the way, and so that is why the proper tool has to be acquired. Now, there's a couple of different versions of this, but it's a warrant if you're going to try and do this yourself. Still going to save you a ton of money. A trip to the hardware store in order to buy a faucet wrench, and that's what they're called. They come in different forms. There are some modern versions which are really great, but a faucet wrench, it's got a long handle. Traditionally, it's got a spring-loaded hook at the top, because the problem with getting the nuts off of the bottom side of that faucet as it pushes up against the countertop is that there's no room to actually swing the handle of a wrench. Even if you were to get the wrench onto the nut, you can't swing the wrench to actually move the nut. So these faucet wrenches are designed to reach up. They've got this extension head. They reach way up inside. You can get them on the nut, and then the handle is down below the sink where you can freely spin it and rotate it and take off the nuts and thereby remove the faucet. The other trouble, though, and this is especially true of really, really old faucets, we don't know how much leaking has happened, how much corrosion has taken place, and I'm not trying to poo-poo this idea on you at all. It's totally worthy of your attempt, and if you're bold and wanting to do this yourself, you should go and do it. But don't be surprised if we find that those nuts that are holding the faucet in place have been sitting there with water deposits and corrosion on them, and they may be frozen in place. Does that mean that they won't come off? Nope, it doesn't. It just means it may take some elbow grease. Therefore, even more important, the use of a really good faucet wrench, because you may have to really put some torque behind it to get that off. So, step one, disconnect the hoses. Step one, take off the, or turn off the angle stop. Turn off the valve. Open the faucet, let the pressure out. Remove the hoses from the angle stop, and then reach up inside with a faucet wrench. Undo the nuts. Boom, the faucet should pull through the holes in the top of the counter. Toss it. Put your new guy in there. Reverse order. Put the nuts back on to secure the new faucet. Hook up the new hoses. You should be good to go. Also, one other little thing. Don't be surprised on a really old angle stop. That's the valve. That hasn't been closed in, 60 years, that it may not want to completely close off. The washer or the gasket inside may be a little stiff, a little dry, a little old. It happens to the best of us. And so always have like a little pan or a bucket, because even when you turn it off, it may be like 99% turned off. But still kind of dripping under. It's not the worst thing in the world, because you're going to just turn it back on and leave it on once the new faucet's installed. But it may drip a little bit. So have a towel, have a shallow like Rubbermaid or Tupperware pan sitting around that can catch the water as it drips from that stuff. And you should be good to go, Carol. Give it your best shot. Good luck with that. All right. Ooh, look at that. That was a long explanation. I went through the whole thing for Carol. When we come back, more of your calls. You're home with Dean Sharp, the House Whisperer. Brian Baruman has the news.
Well, the Port of Long Beach is going to allow containers to be stacked up higher than normal at the port. That's not on the ships, on the ground. Usually they only allow 2, but they're going to let them go up to 4 to try to take care of that backlog off the coast. The Dodgers take on the Braves tonight in Game 6 of the NLCS, and another next-inning game for the Braves and Blue. And the section of the 101 east of downtown LA is closed until Monday for a bridge construction project. We'll have a look at some trouble on the 15th next.
Tomorrow's show, I said, is taking place at the camp house. Well, here's a story related to that. The year was 1903. 2 young Boston architects, Charles and Henry Green, made history right here in Southern California by designing a new style of home that you would come to know as the California Craftsman. One of the very first examples was the camp house near Pasadena, a home whose restoration 118 years later was entrusted to yours truly. This historic green house was entrusted to me, and I, this is very true, trust every last inch of it to Benjamin Moore. For generations, Benjamin Moore Regal Select has been the paint that the most passionate architects, builders, painters, and homeowners have trusted their most precious spaces to. Visit your local Benjamin Moore retailer. Learn for yourself why Regal Select is the brand that painters know best from the company that knows paint best, Benjamin Moore. Find your local independently owned